He is Nucleus to our glorified Adam, and Phantom Pain on Revelation's ominous Eve. He is Circular Logic and Atlas, a ringmaster, still present after the audience dismissal. While jumping through hoops, you may ask one day, where is he? He is within the fabric of your knowledge. He is Columbus Myth.
I'm afraid our myth is coming to an end, as ends do come to circles, don't they? Or do they? Isn't this how Columbus wins every time, by beginning with an argument set up with its own fail-safe installed? Setting up a world, language, and political warfare that will work itself out in his favor due to the original blueprint. The original code? Through circular logic, Columbus has won, even though Castor crafted a unique plan in order to delete him. Castor first used Justin's gift of drawing and persuades the rebellious young man to draw an avatar of Columbus. Castor told Justin that Columbus killed Linda, and Justin was ready to avenge Linda's death. He thought he did, but somehow another image was saved in the machine, and Columbus came back unexpectedly. Castor deleted the last image of Columbus that was saved in the machine to get rid of Columbus for good. But, even with Columbus gone, society still revolved around his myth and legend. Castor slowly began to fall into his father's footsteps, though he rejected his father's ways. Castor put up a good fight, but found that he could not escape his privilege. He became a ringmaster after all, and carried out his father's plan to make Dido the new star of Kosho. Dido, being human like the public, would be relatable to the public and earn more trust for Kosho. This was Columbus's master plan. But is Columbus good or evil? Why is he building trust for Kosho? Why was Castor originally against Columbus's plan? Let's follow Columbus's narrative to find out in Ground, the 10th and final episode of our radio drama, Columbus Myth. Linda told Dido in a ghostly vision that Earth is ground soiled by death, a fertilizer, and lightning wants to rest where there is one, quiet, alone, in open ground. Language comes later, but for now, you are becoming one with the ground, struck by lightning truth. If you want life, you have no choice but to stand on belief. You have no choice but to stand on ground soiled by death. If you choose life, belief is solid ground. When gardening in the public after she took on Linda's star role, Dido thought of how she once thought it was wrong to build a foundation that rejects anything other than what you want to grow, or what you choose to grow. She thought it was wrong that the public district rejected their babies who did not fit their ideal and gave them to the entertainment district for mechanical implants to mirror back to them a grand show for their own ego and entertainment. Dido thought of Linda's words and understood that earth soiled by death meant that all ground has casualties and rejects. All beliefs are toxic to truth. The public district was so rich with trust because they rejected consistently, regardless of truth. But in order to stand and choose life, Dido had to walk on ground. In order to choose life, she had to walk on ground soiled by death. She needed to garden just like the public district and pull out weeds to find gold. She needed to believe.
Linda.
Castor.
Another midday run, I see.
Someone's got to stay in shape around here.
Remember when Linda and Castor were both in competition to become magician? Linda wanted the role more than anything. She studied hard for it and prepared all her days in school for that role. Magician was a role that led to ringmaster, and Linda's dream was to lead her people.
Welcome, you two. I'll make this short. Linda, you've trained beside me for 8 years. Castor, I have raised you from infancy. Both of you have worked hard to become my apprentices. Both of you are fit. But I must choose only one. The new magician of Kosho is Castor.
Columbus made Castor ringmaster and put Linda in a lion tamer role.
Are you okay?
Columbus. I should have been a magician. I'm not cut out for this. I promise you, Columbus, I didn't cheat. My scores were legitimately higher than Castor's. I'm confident in that. Please, I can't take this punishment. I didn't do anything wrong.
Linda, you do remind me of myself.
Then why didn't you make me your apprentice? How did you do that?
It became clear to me that Image is an obstacle, a formidable opponent. The genius who holds the cure for cancer is discouraged from sharing if she doesn't look the part. Though a fool who is made in the image of God can rule the world.
So what are you saying?
It became clear to me that Image is in fact everything. So what do you do to conquer this hurdle?
What?
Understand that Image has 2 parts. There is the physical item, 1, and there is the symbolic meaning, 2. In order to conquer the beast that is Image, you must not fight the symbolic meaning, but instead create an avatar of that physical item to distract your audience. For example, a petite, baby-faced woman with dainty wrists will cause an audience to subconsciously compare her to similar images. Models, movie stars, pop princesses. Yet, this petite beauty has no interest in public adoration. She is a deep thinker who wishes to spend her days tangled in philosophical conversation. But when she does converse with those around her, they cannot see past that beast that is her image. And I'm sharing with you today the Achilles heel, my friend. Do not fight symbolic meaning. If you are a pretty genius who cannot get your audience to take you seriously because of your looks alone, distract their little minds by becoming a model.
So, you assigned me to the job of lion tamer because I'm pretty.
Sure. Seeing a lady like you taming wild beasts is sexy. Sex sells. They'll love it. Draw attention to your beauty so there's no thrill of discovery on their end. They are not discovering your beauty. You know you are beautiful, and you don't need their insight into the matter. You have it covered. They will see this. You are a model, and they will accept that because this was the image you were born into. They will accept this image, and you, the real you, will be free to study and create and research as you please, because you have created your avatar to distract them from seeing who you are. They will accept your disguise because it makes sense. You see, at birth, we are all entering a story, already in progress. We believe the story as we are conditioned to at adolescence. The story breaks for intermission at the point that you become aware that everything is not as it seems. As an audience, during this intermission, you ponder over what you have seen so far, and your mind takes creative agency against the author when you imagine an outcome all your own. You might choose to leave the theater at intermission, or you may choose to stay for Act 2. My dear, at this intermission, I challenge you to stay for Act 2. Knowing now that you are a player, my dear, stay for Act 2. Play. Leaving will only cause discomfort. They will still see you as a model, even if you are not. So distract them by being a model. Be it. They will not try and push you into your place if you are seemingly there already. There is freedom in deception, my dear. So, stay.
I could understand Columbus's philosophy, but I did not want to play a role. I wanted to be a magician. I felt I was a magician already. Why couldn't I just be myself? At these times when I'm feeling restless, I escape for recreation. But this time, I wasn't inspired to escape into the public and return with new material for an act. What act was I planning for now? I didn't want to stay at Kosho, and if I left, there would be no reason to return.
Linda left the private district that day and met Paul later on in the public district. After learning that she was originally rejected from the public because she is scientifically criminal, Linda returned home. She became a lion tamer and played her role obediently. Years later, Linda is in her 20s and a high school kid has a crush on her. He draws her a picture and gets in trouble for it because, of course, images, are illegal. But Justin's rebellious.
It was a tunnel I had never known about. Tall, just as tall as Columbus's doorway. Even digits could easily walk this tunnel. I followed the arrow as it led me through the ceiling of Kosho. I heard a familiar voice speaking below me. It was Castor.
We evolved from those days believing in science. We have mythology. We don't need philosophy, physics, biology, chemistry, and so on.
I peeked through a nearby vent. It was Columbus's office. Castor paced before Columbus's desk. Columbus pushed away an hourglass from his desk. He sat on it where the hourglass was.
You don't believe in science?
No. Yes, I do believe in science, but I believe that it once existed to describe to early man how the world worked around him. But it was just a basic form of mythology.
I listened closer, intrigued by the conversation at hand. Castor seemed to have stumbled upon the same truths I had. Or maybe it was just that great minds think alike. I had a similar conversation with Goose, the librarian, just the other day. We're taught mythology in school, but there is a controversy among some churches who believe that science should be taught in school alongside mythology. Some people can't reconcile the two. Science, being more primitive, is discarded as stories that townsmen dreamt up to pass the time before the invention of the internet. But there has to be something to science if science led to the invention of the internet. Maybe, to them, science was exactly what mythology is to us. Maybe we just don't understand the language of science. Maybe the meaning was somehow lost in translation, and all we know of it is its failures. For all we know, our mythology could be their science, just in another language. These ancients had technology that I couldn't even begin to imagine before today. What if their science went on to even surpass our mythology? It's a far-out idea. But how else would you explain the advanced technology that they had? Aliens?
Justin listened to Castor and Columbus's conversation as he hid in a tunnel above them. He was suspicious of Columbus because Columbus would make Linda alter her appearance to appeal to the public. Columbus told Linda that if she altered her appearance, she would earn more trust for Kosho, and he was right. She did.
These scientists were not so basic.
But this is what I was taught. By you.
Not everything you are taught is true. You were trained. Just as the scientists of the past, you were trained. You were trained and so were they. They were taught
To believe. My apologies, sir.
You're becoming quite the magician, Castor. Quite the master of deception. Explain to me how you constructed your latest. The one where you teleport and appear in every seat of the house at once. How do you multiply, my son?
Oh, you don't know that one?
They were referring to Castor's last performance. Castor appeared to everyone in front of each one of their seats in a ghostly image. When I saw it, I thought it was pure magic. But now, knowing what I learned this morning, I understood what technology he used.
Justin knows of the ancient technology of video. He learned from working with Einstein.
You've been collaborating with Einstein.
I thought of the idea on my own. It's my trick. I just used some mythology that I had been meditating on. I came up with the idea to use light to project an image. Einstein helped me turn the image around, but it was a group effort, but originally it was my idea.
I couldn't help but think of the ancients and of humankind. How many times in our existence have we thought we were discovering knowledge for the very first time, when in fact we were rediscovering lost knowledge? And what was it that made us lose the knowledge? Why is it a sin to draw a picture?
I trained you well. Your trick. It's been done before. I know of it. I know it well. But you have to understand the consequences of bringing camera to light again.
So you know the trick. You've seen it before, but why haven't you ever shown me?
I did show you. Every day of your life I have shown you. I have prepared you. I've shown everyone here. All of you have been conditioned to stumble upon this reinvention on your own. You're welcome.
You know I'm the guy who defends you when all these kids say you're full of bull.
You don't believe me.
No, you can't take the credit for this one. It's my trick. You are looking at the next great master.
I won't live forever. And all I want is for you to be the next great master.
I don't really have that part figured out. How to make the images truly live. But if I did, I'd say you could live forever.
Perhaps I could be of some help. The reason the ancients stopped using film and video is that it became too close to life. You see, images are special to the human mind. Image is everything. Images stay in one brain for life, Castor, and while they are in there, they control your mind subconsciously. They control your actions, and therefore your reality is altered. When reality is altered, generations after you follow your same behavior, that same behavior that was once controlled by a single image.
Yes, I know. Pictures are sinful.
There is ancient knowledge that you are not ready for, Castor. But I am preparing you. I have been all your life, and everyone else here too. You are the lucky ones. A long time ago, there were people divided. There were people divided by color, religion, language, class. Television was used for what they called news and entertainment, what we do today. But the genius behind it all, and how TV generated wealth. They were able to sell beauty standards and a racial hierarchy. They were able to sell social normalities. Their public aligned to obey. The whole thing was one big commercial for the beliefs of the time and products that drove consumerism. You see, the players on screen were the rich moguls, acrobats. The acrobats reflected what the public looked like, acted like, believed. They were admired and celebrated. They were called celebrities. The public, on the other hand, were the rich moguls' apprentices. Like you or mine, you see. You will inherit the world, Castor. All of this work I have done for you.
Why, great master?
Castor took a seat. I couldn't believe that I was overhearing this. Columbus wanted to bring ancient knowledge back and use it to take over the public mind. And he wanted to use me, Dido, and our classmates to do it. The discovery of all this new technology in the morning, and now this, it was all too much for one day.
It is something I've been working on for a very long time. You have found the technology useful. You have worked it in a show. You have mastered the way of deception needed for this venture, raising you to discover this so that you truly understand it's my greatest accomplishment. You must see this through.
I still just don't know how this knowledge could have disappeared. Was it really so dangerous?
Columbus continued to explain to Castor how dangerous image was for ancients.
The internet was invented. Thoughts traveled as quick as light from one person to a billion. The truth leaked. Then there was a way to create online what money could not on TV. The illusion was compromised. There was no more power in television, so television died. money still controls all. So in a fit of rage, money created a new myth around using the internet. Money created a new technology that is the beginning of our current society. And they handed down this knowledge from ringmaster to ringmaster. My acrobats are a reflection of the people of the public. When we duplicate them on our freshly invented TV and create idols as the greats of the past have done, great wealth will come to you, Castor. As long as you can make the majority believe in your deception, you have the world in your hands. The majority has changed face, you see, and I will patent that new face. Take Linda, for example. Beautiful woman, rich, deep, brown skin, and straight black hair. She is a vision. But the public with their curls and caramel complexion will want to see their own reflection. So Linda will have to change. So I will train her to wear the lighter foundation. Soon, I will introduce her to skin bleaching creams, just to show her how they lighten any scars she might have gotten from lion taming. She will figure out on her own that she can use it to bleach her whole body.
I knew it. I knew he had some plan for Linda. I had to get out of here and get to her immediately. Maybe now she'd finally take me up on my plan to escape.
Justin codes a social network for Linda, allowing her to use the avatar that he drew of her. People compliment her natural beauty instead of the way she presents in her show. This gives Linda a certain confidence that Columbus cannot handle. So he pays her a visit.
Well, thank you. Coco Princess 27. Come in. Good evening, sir.
What is this I hear of you sneaking around in underground virtual reality?
I feel haunted sometimes because the oppression I face is invisible to the majority of people. I feel haunted. Like when I address the oppression, I'm addressing a figment of my imagination, and everyone around me sees me talking to the air. They think I'm crazy. So not only am I addressing the oppression and dealing with the personal effects of it, but I'm crazy too. But online, I'm understood.
Columbus deletes Linda. He pretends to find her body.
Come quickly!
It's Linda!
Call an ambulance!
Online, she's understood. Linda said it herself. She used Justin's virtual world along with her avatar because she felt her soul had found an accepting community here. And we learned from Einstein, Paul, Castor, and Digits that once your avatar is inside the machine, your soul connects to that image when your real-world body expires.
Linda, in her final mass, pale, lifeless. Was it murder? Who could have gotten past security? She's gone.
I stand over the circus reminding Koshoyans that they must stay in line. Like a ghost, not seen but present. Like the oppression I once felt when I was living. A silent ghost, haunting only the oppressed.
We gather here today to honor a sister, caretaker, role model, daughter, and friend.
Columbus honored Linda with a statue carved in Sahara gold marble. Sahara gold, the same color as her stage makeup.
Standing tall by our entrance doors, the spirit of Linda will keep us all in obedience.
I hadn't told Dido the whole of what I wanted to reveal. I hadn't told her what I had found out about the ancients, their technology, pictures, and film, and how this was the downfall. I hadn't told her about overhearing Columbus and Castor's plot to bring the ancient technology back. I hadn't told anyone but Linda.
I'm sorry for your loss, Justin. I know she was a close friend. Lunch?
It was the fear within me that agreed. I didn't want to raise suspicion. I wanted Castor to believe that I trusted him, that I didn't know what he and Columbus were plotting.
Linda's soul has ascended into the machine. Castor tells Justin that Columbus is to blame for Linda's death. No one knows that souls can haunt the machine yet. But Linda begins to haunt Dido. Castor and Columbus have a past. Castor was adopted by Columbus.
I admit, I was afraid to raise you. I myself was brought up to behave as an heir. You weren't. But I'm addressing you now as the king you are to become.
He removes his top hat, flips it to create a bowl, and places the egg inside of the hat. He pretends to stir, like he's mixing cake batter. His goggles now fixed across his eyes. The audience erupts in laughter. A tip jar raises a notch in trust. A boy in the audience, young Castor, laughs too. Columbus waves his left hand over his hat, dropping his right hand below the table. Columbus surveys the audience as he gazes through the grid. He spots an egg in the pocket of an older man.
I chose not to tell you. The burden is heavy.
Columbus points to the older man. Amazed, he pulls the egg from his pocket, pushes his cane in the ground to stand, and walks unsteady to the stage with his cane in his right hand. The crowd cheers in awe, and their eyes light up with trust, that same mechanical glove.
And I love you too much to put you through what I suffered.
Trust is the currency in this world. Literally, currency. Energy from audience members collect in Columbus' tip jar, and the jar glows the same green glow as the audience members' eyes. Columbus' tip jar fills with trust. Young Castor cheers as well. His eyes are lit with a mechanical glow. As the old man hands the egg over to Columbus, Columbus nods. Thanking the old man and extending his hand for a handshake, Columbus places the silver ball down and he shakes the old man's hand. And Castor sees Columbus is hiding the silver ball under the table. Castor's smile fades. The green glow of trust leaves the young boy's eyes. Simultaneously, the glow on the tip jar drops a notch. As the old man makes his way back to his seat, Columbus noticed that the tip jar has dropped a notch in trust. He looks out to young Castor, the only audience member without trust glowing in his eyes.
I was young and suffering when I chose you.
Young Castor stares back. Since young Castor saw the trick, Columbus brings him in on his act. He doesn't want anyone else to cause him to lose the precious trust
Just trying to make it through another day.
that he has collected. Young Castor looks through Columbus's goggles. Castor sees the grid for the first time. It is an unimaginable access to any perspective he wants to see. All he has to do is think about what he wants to see, and the goggles will lead him to surveillance that area immediately. From out of sight, Digits, the clown, walks into Castor's point of view, through the audience chairs, and in toward us.
Remember when I taught you your first trick? I'm proud of what you've become. You understand Pablo Zenengo, and it's time to take on your role as a leader.
Young Castor holds Columbus' tip jar, but his eyes are not lit with trust. "15 years later, Castor, a 20-some-year-old man, stands in a darkened room. He wears Columbus's goggles and holds the same silver ball Columbus used 15 years ago. Digits is there with him, and Columbus' body lays on a couch just behind him.
No, Father, I never trusted you.
Castor uses his grid to remotely look around a virtual map of both private and public districts. He's looking for a place to hide Columbus's body.
And here we are, a magician, a mute, and a body. I can count on you to keep my secrets, Right, big guy? We're going to need some kind of publicist ego. You know the punishment for murder, right? Eye for an eye. I wouldn't worry, though. This old man's the only one arrogant enough to create a picture of himself and resurrect S-I-N. The only good picture is live picture. Never trust a magician who identifies himself as something else. Pictures steal your soul.
Castor killed Columbus by way of Justin. But Castor doesn't want to become ringmaster, so he decides to keep Columbus's death a secret. If anyone finds out Columbus is dead, Castor becomes ringmaster. But Castor doesn't want to be trapped by the power of that privilege. Suddenly, a video begins to play.
Aha! And welcome. Hi there. Thank you for joining us for the SIN orientation video. Now, I know you've heard some rumors, and they are true. We are going to resurrect the ancient technology of film and video, all to expand our private trust.
A video plays on Castor's data screen. Videos and images have been banned for hundreds of years. Castor doesn't know how this is possible. On the video, Columbus stands center, and he introduces himself.
I know what you're thinking. If you change our founding principle, you change the essence of who we are. When was the last time you evaluated our history?
It's a recording.
Every society has got an origin myth.
I've only heard about this.
And present. Believe it or not, our sophisticated society also operates on a mythology. What we are taught in school becomes our belief, our faith.
Castor grabs the silver ball to reconnect to the grid.
Stay focused.
Our currency is direct trust. If our internal beliefs do not match those of educated public merchants, our transactions will fail. However, when public citizens purchase from uneducated private citizens, the transactions rarely fail, because our existence as private people is one part of a dominant public perspective. Simply put, we wouldn't exist without the public gaze. So whatever they see is true, and whatever they want is theirs.
A clock shows Castor that more time has passed and the grid will soon die out at sunset. Through Castor's gaze, we see Dido in commerce. She is shopping at a mall in the public district. Through Castor's eyes, we see Dido try to buy an item, but the transaction fails. Dido's currency is not good at commerce because she is a private citizen.
Focus.
There is no trust for an exchange between herself and the public district. There is no trust between them, so Dido leaves the store.
We all know the reason for power and wealth in the public district. They trust one another. Because of the theatrical history in our private district. Because of public and ego, a term that defines our need to bend the truth so we can fit a dominant gaze and stay within the public's good graces, there is less trust among us. And less trust set aside for us. We're separated into districts. The public district for educated and respected workers. The private district for entertainers.
If I wasn't so distracted.
The clock runs out of time, and the grid shuts down.
He must have created another version of his
Castor
avatar.
takes off his glasses. He has failed to find a place to
An
hide the body.
unbiased result of a scientific method. And today our language does not distinguish between the terms science and mythology.
At this point, Castor is unaware of where the soul goes once it's been deleted. He is unaware that Columbus' soul could possibly be inside the machine. But now he's putting the puzzle pieces together.
Videos, images, pictures are a sin based upon her discovery.
Castor searches his computer screen and different applications. Digit looks over Castor's shoulder, but still watches Columbus's video.
When we deleted Columbus's avatar, we got rid of his soul. But he must have programmed it back up. His soul is still animating the machine.
The mechanical chip on Columbus's palm lights up red. But Castor doesn't notice. Columbus's body moves. Castor doesn't notice because he is searching the computer for Columbus's backup avatar. Columbus attacks and wrestles digits to the ground. Both of them wrestle as Castor continues to search for an image. In the orientation video, Castor's image appears beside Columbus.
I'm getting there. Almost there.
Castor sees his images in the video. He looks over the image of Columbus that he found in the computer, and he sees his image in the folder too. Digits and Columbus wrestle behind him. Columbus, showing superhuman strength, pushes Digits to his knees. Castor deletes Columbus' image, and Columbus falls to the floor. Columbus' palm light dims. The light indicating Columbus is signed into the machine also dims. Columbus has been deleted for good.
Meet my apprentice, Castor, our resident magician.
Castor watches the video as Columbus signs off. All of the private and public districts saw the video air on their data screens. Everyone knows that once Columbus is gone, Castor will take over as ringmaster.
When I expire, he will become your president, your leader, your ringmaster in our community. He will see that our new venture to bring SIN back to Libertaria will continue. He will keep SIN alive in order to expand the trust in the private district.
Castor watches the video as Columbus signs off. All of the public and private districts saw the video aired on their data screens. Everyone knows that once Columbus is gone, Castor will take over as ringmaster.
Popozanico, my friends, I'm signing off. Your ringmaster, Columbus.
Castor wasn't the only person to see this video. It was actually broadcast on data screens in both the public and the private. Dido saw the video on a ride home from Commerce, a mall in the public district. She tried to buy an item there. She thought her trust might transfer from her parents down to her, but it didn't. Time passes. Castor makes Dido star of Kosho just as Columbus planned. And Linda knows Dido's pressures all too well. Linda, still a ghost, visits Dido often now that Dido is a star, earning trust from the public. Dido and Justin practice their routine together outside of the Kosho Theater, right next to Linda's haunted statue. Dido remembers seeing Linda's statue move once while she was on her way to Commerce. Justin sees she's distracted and asks her,
"What's wrong?"
She's still here, haunting me. I see her shadow when I practice alone, and once I saw her as though she were alive again. I balanced on one end of a high wire and she was on the other, mirroring me. I tripped and fell, and next I knew I was lying on the ground, and she spoke to me without using words. She said telepathically, "Earth is ground soiled by death, a fertilizer, and lightning wants to rest where there is one, quiet, alone, in open ground. Language comes later, but for now you are becoming one with the ground, struck by lightning truth. If you want life, you have no choice but to stand on belief. You have no choice but to stand on ground soiled by death. If you choose life, belief is solid ground."
What does that mean?
Mona can't choose between Paul and Castor. Paul tells her truths, but doesn't care to spare her feelings. Paul's a narcissist and manipulator. Castor tells Mona exactly what she needs to hear in order to keep her believing. And once she believes, she feels her best. She spies on Castor for Paul regardless. Paul investigates Einstein for Linda, Digits, and Columbus's disappearances. He ends up in Einstein's surgical chair. Einstein plants mythology into Paul because Castor has told him that he must switch programs from mythology to science. Einstein wants to save his legacy, so he implants a finish into Paul which makes him cyborg and connects him directly to the machine. Goose, who also has the ability to see, connects to the machine and sees that Paul's consciousness can connect too. She also sees that Digits is connected to Paul and controlling his thoughts. She hears Digits tell Paul that he fooled Einstein into believing that Kosho is now running on science, but mythology is still running. Goose decides this is too complex. Instead of believing her own senses, she decides to put faith in what her husband believes to be true. Einstein believes Kosho is running on science, therefore everyone believes they are now running on science.
But I know better, because I am nucleus to your glorified Adam and phantom pain on Revelation's ominous Eve. I am circular logic and Atlas, a ringmaster still present after the audience's dismissal. While jumping through hoops, you may ask one day, where am I? I am within the fabric of your knowledge. I am Columbus myth.
You've just heard Ground, the 10th and final episode of Columbus Myth, written and produced by Kendra Dobson, recorded by John Rockwitz, sound mixed by Kayla Chappelle and Neto Flores, starring Nugent Stanton and Christopher Winbush as the announcer, Aslan Hollier as Castor, Ruja Tanarwalker as Linda, Adam Martinez and Dan Pye as Columbus, Lexter Rivera and Tita as Justin, Krista Gonzalez and Julie Leonard as Dido, Ruby Edkins as Goose, and Adam Martinez as Einstein.